Frost talked about a blank slate when it comes to kind of entering fall
Yeah.
practice. Do you feel similar sentiments with the D-back room?
Oh, absolutely. I think Coach Frost preached it well to us. Like we've done a good job in spring getting guys to buy into what we're trying to get them to do, whether that be on and off the field, and they go through summer and training and stuff like that. But you want the guys to understand, guys who made mistakes in spring. You don't want them coming into fall camp thinking, man, is my coach still holding that against me? So you want to be really clear and let them understand that everybody get a chance to start fresh. Everybody get a chance to start clean. Tomorrow is day one for everybody, whether you had a great spring or not so good. So, there's a good chance for everybody to start over.
You have Damari Henderson coming back from injury. What has it been like with the rehab process with him, and do you think is he ready to go so far?
When it comes to rehab, to be honest with you, I really don't know or don't be made aware of what's going on as far as injuries over the summer, because that's our time off. As far as I know, everybody's healthy and ready to go come tomorrow.
Coach, you have a lot of folks obviously in your room. How has competition made your entire group better?
Oh, competition is everything. That's one thing I've preached since walking in the door. We're going to compete and we're going to have fun at the same time. We're going to support each other too. I think the competition piece, the guys embrace it. They embrace everybody wants to be the best guy. Everybody understands, they have to take that approach every day that, hey, if I don't, it's somebody behind me that's good enough to take that spot. So the competition that made everybody raise their game.
We were at Big 12 Media Day, and we asked Nigel Kelly specifically, hey, who's the player that's impressed you? He said Philip Dunham, obviously, who was in your room as well. What has Philip Dunham brought to your team? Why do people keep talking about him?
Phil is just a playmaker. Phil, he has a knack for the ball, and that's something that I was able to see from him last year as well. He's a special kid, super talented, athletic, he's competitive, and just bringing a group of guys like that around, it rubs off on everybody, 'cause obviously when he makes a play, somebody else want to respond and want to go match him and stuff like that, but he's phenomenal.
Anyone separate themselves so far? It sounds like Philip has kind of done that, but has anyone else been kind of separated themselves out so far?
I would say no, but in a good way. Nobody else is trying to get showed up in the room as well. Everybody's competing. We have a lot of experience in that room, especially on the outside. A lot of guys that have played a lot of football, whether they've been here or somewhere else. So, they're all taking strides, and they all want to make sure they put themselves in a position to help the team this season. So if they see one guy starting to take off a little bit, that kind of makes everybody else like, all right, cool, let me catch up. So nobody's able to separate, and that's the beauty of going into this training camp, that it's going to be competitive the entire time. And that's something that we've kind of been ramping up, and we've kind of been urging on a little bit to let them know that this probably going to be the most competitive unit as far as revolving depth chart the entire camp.
Anyone else on the team stepped up in terms of full team leadership? Has any team captain candidates, for example, emerged out there? Who kind of seems to be sticking out?
I think naturally the guys look at a guy like Braden Marshall that's been here, that's been a part of the program. They respect him, because he works hard, he does a really good job, and he tries to lead by example. And I think he does have that respect.
How would you describe this defensive system that Coach Grinch is installing? Obviously, it's new. You all learned it too. How would you describe this defensive system?
Oh, to me, it benefits every position, and it's one thing I try to let the guys know, man. If you look at the system, you get a chance to play so many different techniques, and you get a chance to do so much. You can look at how you want to look at it, man. Guys want to go to the next level. Guys want to win now. So the scheme gives you a variety of opportunities to show what you can do. It doesn't handicap you or put you into a certain position or a certain box. Like the way we keep everything interchangeable, I think the system really allows guys the ability to show off, show their ability, and really make plays.
Last year, turnovers ended up being something that you said wasn't really getting a lot of. In terms of finding interceptions or doing that, is that something you're kind of emphasizing with the D-backs this time around?
Yeah, I think the guys just have to understand the process of getting an interception. Sometimes you look at the result of it and you're like, man, we want more picks. Okay, look, obviously everybody wants to have a bunch of interceptions, but getting the guys to understand these are the things necessarily to do to put yourself in a position to get more interceptions. Playing with the right technique, playing with great communication on the back end, knowing that we're all in the right places, being able to have each other's back, being able to help each other out a lot more. And guys understanding that it's not just going out there and trying to play street ball and trying to make interceptions. That's not the answer. So getting guys to understand the process that's going to take to come up with those interceptions. And when they come in bunches. So the guys understand that too.
Yeah, what's the coaching point on defensive backs? I think last year a lot of the fans were frustrated. Felt like DBs were playing hands. They didn't have their heads turned around for the ball. What's the coaching point for you on your defensive backs? How do you want them to handle when the ball's in the air?
Oh, for sure. Ultimately, we're judged on if we can make a play when the ball is in the air. And that's one thing our guys completely understand. We have a whole entire category dedicated to just that, how well we play the ball when the ball is in the air, and that's a category of defensive back play that our guys take great pride in. We drill it, we coach it, we talk about it, we do clinics about it, so they understand, like, ultimately that's your job. That's how you grade it.
Do you have a sense if your team's better in bump and run, man, zone coverage? Do you have a sense yet for kind of the scheme you think your team runs best?
No sense of that yet, you know what I mean, because different guys have different strengths, and that's the thing we're trying to really learn through training camp as well, as far as the combination of guys and how they play together so they can play to their strengths, because we have some guys that are really, really good in bump and run, some guys that are really much better in off or in zone. So just trying to piece it together the right way to make sure we have the right combination of guys on the field so all of them can play to their strengths and they all can give us the best version of themselves.
Do you have starters in mind so far? And if not, what do you need to see at camp for someone to emerge?
We don't, yeah, and that's the thing that we kind of dangle in front of the guys. We let them know that we have so much talent in this group that every day different guys are going to get a chance to step into those roles. Like, we want every practice, we want guys going in to feel like, okay, I have to perform no matter when I get my reps. But we also want guys to know that we're going to reward you when you do well. You have a good practice, the next day you're going to rep with the first group. You know what I mean? Another guy has a good practice, he's going to get the opportunity to rep with their group as well. So it'll be very, very, very competitive. But the thing we're going to look for is consistency. I mean, who can show up, who can make those plays in those big moments and be consistent doing it, to where not only to me or Coach Grinch, I want the D-line coaches to feel well about the guys we putting in the game, so they don't skip a beat when such and such is running in the game. They feel good and say, okay, I like that guy.
I learned a long time ago from a coach that if you want to know about the receivers, ask the DBs.
Sure.
So your group goes up against the receivers every day. What do you see of the receivers at UCF has? Coach Frost talked earlier, younger group, kind of improving. What are you seeing as you kind of go against the receivers every day in practice?
Credit to those guys, credit to Coach Beckton and Coach Frost and the offense staff. Those guys are tough. They're physically tough. I mean, a lot of times receivers, they get the stigma of they're pretty boys, they don't want to touch anybody, but those guys block their behinds off. And sometimes, you know, I mean, we have to, we're kind of caught off guard on how physical they want to play and the brand of football they want to bring to the table. But I think that's one thing immediately that jumped out to me in spring camp, by how physical those guys were willing to be. And they take great pride in it. All excited to see our guys fit his system. Yeah, you know, and his system does a good job at giving you the ability to do a lot of different things, whether that's blitzing, whether that's covering, or whether that's zone man. You know, he has it all built in. So I think he'll do a good job once he realizes what our guys are really strong in, and probably using that a little bit more. But
it seems like we have a lot of players in the back secondary. I mean, it's like you brought in a lot of transfers, and I mean, I look at this site, UCFsports.com, and I actually take pictures for them and that stuff. And it seemed like we've been bringing in guys left and right even after spring practice.
Yes, sir. We did have a lot of turnover. So in the early transfer portal window, there were a lot of defensive backs signed, and then I think we brought in 2 more post-spring, and I think that's just the nature of college football now. You need a lot of good DBs. You need a lot of good DBs to have a chance, especially playing against some of the teams that we play against.
All this stuff where you're playing sometimes almost like 5 the nickels, or what do they call it?
Absolutely. Yeah, you have nickel, you have dime. So sometimes you're out there with 6 DBs on the field.
Yeah.
And so you want a group of them that you feel really, really good about. You know, I mean, not only just 1 deep, but 2 and 3 deep sometimes.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll let you take over. Hey, good luck, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
How's it going, Coach?
What's going on?
Andrew Chirkle, nice 24/7.
Yeah, nice to see you again.
Just talk about what are your thoughts ending spring camp now, entering fall. How do you feel like the group is coming along?
I think spring went well. I think we had a really good summer when guys was able to really go through the system again and really feel comfortable and kind of get a chance to lock into the details of it. All right, because obviously spring you're here for the first time, summer you're here again. So I think the excitement is really built up for the guys going into this fall camp.
I mean, I'm just obviously a talented room. Who impressed you heading into coming out of spring, heading into fall now?
So it's hard to go with specific guys in specific, but I think as a unit was impressed me with them all of how hungry they still are and they still want to learn. I mean, they still want to be coached. They still want to be critiqued, and that's one thing that all of the guys come to you one-on-one and say, Coach, we love how tough you was on us this spring. Fall camp, let's take it up a notch because none of us have reached where we want to reach it. So that's exciting.
Hungry for opportunities. Did you see anybody step up during spring that caught your eye? That's putting in the effort and hopefully fight for a starting spot.
Yeah. And I told the guys this earlier, and I think we're going to have probably one of the most competitive rooms on the team as far as guys competing for that starting job. I think our depth chart is going to be revolving because we have so many guys with experience, so many guys that have played, whether I've been here or somewhere else. But there were several guys doing springs. You can pick the day, man. Like Jaden Bellamy had really great days in spring. Phil Dunham had really great days in some spring practices. DJ Bell stepped up with some really good days. But we also have guys that weren't in those spring practices that they feel like they're going to have some things to say too. So that should be interesting.
Talk about guys who were in Brandon Marshall. Do you expect him to step up as a leader? He's one of the returners on this team. Do you see him taking the next step?
Braden's done a good job. He's done a good job leading by example. He's done a good job at working his butt off to get back to the point where he can be on the field with the guys and they respect him. What I mean? He's done a really good job his first couple of years here. He's a local kid and he's easy to coach, very well rounded. So guys really enjoy being around him. So I think him being a leader is very, very natural for him.
Obviously, Coach Grinch, safety coach as well. How has it been like working with him and getting the backside of the field covered up?
It's been phenomenal. I think Coach Grinch I think they're all of them. I think he's very smart. I think he's easygoing as well, like really easy to talk to. He's a great teacher. He's been able to really teach me his system and really allow me to teach it to the guys and to have some input on it and to really work with him hand in hand. But I'm very excited to work with him through a season and continue to learn and continue to build on some of his experiences. But it's been so easy just coming in and working with him.
How important has it been? I'm sorry, Matt.
Nice to see you again.
How important? You've got a group that's got a lot of new faces on it. How important has it been to develop that chemistry with this group to make sure that the secondary and the safeties and cornerbacks are all kind of on the same page and know each other rather than just being faceless, just not knowing who each other are?
It's been very important. I was telling them earlier, it's become routine now. When we first got here, guys kind of shied away from hanging around each other as much because everybody was new, everybody was coming from different places, and they didn't really know each other. So we had to kind of manufacture a lot of it. We had to have some scheduled off-campus dinners, some house visits, some field trips, as we would call it, just to get the guys being around each other and being real comfortable. So I think that's one thing that we're most proud of going into fall camp, of how well we've gotten this group to gel together, how well we've gotten them to trust each other and to trust us as coaches. So, it's not just every man for themselves. It is a true unit. So we feel really good about that. I'll see how that shows once we step on the field tomorrow.
You had Phil stepped up during the spring. A lot of players I spoke with said he was the guy that they would point to as one of the biggest things. How impressive you've been with the performance in the spring and to this point, and how he's assumed maybe kind of a bigger role. Like he's been able to step up. He
Phil did a good job this spring. And at the same time, that's what we knew we was getting. When a guy like that transferred in with a bunch of experience, and I think that's a credit to Coach Frost and the personnel staff that put this group together before a lot of us were even on board. They went out and they find highly productive players that can fit this system and that we can coach to go into even greater heights. But I think now, along with Phil and some of the other guys, the challenge is to go to the next level. To take that momentum you built in spring ball, and now let's double down on that into fall camp, and now let's pick somebody else up and let's take them with us. So now it's you share some of that knowledge with somebody else that you was able to make some plays. Obviously, you had a good feel for it. You've seen things nicely. Now share that with somebody else, and now let's get a couple guys running around doing that.
Kenny talked a little bit about Not when you don't have like telling these guys, we don't have all Americans, we don't have all conference. You're going to go out there and use it like a chip on your shoulder. Do you feel that same way for your group? I mean, there weren't a lot of UCF guys who were mentioned preseason, all Big 12 and stuff. Does that kind of fuel some fire there, or is that?
What I tell the guys is we have to be accountable to our teammates first. We got to go out there and we got to make the teammates for us, make the plays for us to do the things we need to do to win games. We can't sit around here worrying about a preseason ranking, because if you were on those lists, if you don't go out and play well, it doesn't matter anyway. So we try to get the guys to understand that, we all got to look in the mirror and say, okay, we have a lot of work to do. We need to get it done. And we want to be on those lists at the end of the season and feel good about it, and not before the season, because that doesn't really matter at that point.
Coach, I want to learn more about your on-field philosophy. You guys are strong man, strong zone. You want to be all around. What do you look for on a player?
We want to be able to do both. We want guys to not have to make the play caller think twice about what he wants to call. So we want guys that can play man, can play zone, because we don't want our play caller in a bad spot saying, I can't call this because he's in, or I can't call this because he's good at that. So we challenge our guys to be multiple, and the guys that's multiple and that can do everything that he needs us to do, those are the guys that will play.
What were some of the biggest on-field strengths that you learned from your group during spring?
Resiliency. I picked that up quick. Our guys are resilient. They're willing to challenge guys. They're willing to respond every single time. Now, those times where we might have given up a play, and a guy came right back within the next two plays and made a play and picked the ball off. And that's a credit to those guys and them being mentally tough. That's a huge part of playing this position.
And coming along with the strength, what do you want to see them improve on most during the fall? What do you want to hone in on?
Just continue to grow vocally. We defensive back, we play a position where it's a lot of communication, and sometimes miscommunication can cause us to lose games. So I want our guys to take pride in being the loudest guys on the field in terms of their communication pre-snap. I want them to really understand that it matters, and to really understand that you don't have to be cool, man. Like, cool guys get you beat. We use that saying all the time. Guys that's too cool to yell, or guys that's too cool to make their checks loud, or to give a signal loud. Those guys get you beat. So we want to make sure we get away from all those kind of behaviors.
Are there any underclassmen that caught your eye that have impressed you, especially at a young age?
I think it's a bunch of guys in that mix, man, that are fighting to find their way. They're really trying to learn. They're giving great effort. So I think it's some guys that may emerge after this fall camp as some underclassmen that we may look at that take the next step. I think the toughest part for them is we have so many of those veteran players that are in their juniors and senior years. Sometimes the underclassmen at times, they get overshadowed a little bit. But I think they worked hard this summer, and I'm excited to see which one of those guys emerge come this fall camp.
So since you're not that far removed from playing at the highest level, are the Butterflies different as a player than they are as a coach?
10 times worse as a coach.
They're worse, really? Why is that?
10 times worse as a coach. I think the main thing is you don't have as much control. You don't have as much control in the result. Sometimes as a player, you know the work you put in, you know the hours you put in studying, and when you go out on the field, it's either you make the play or you didn't. So now a lot of times as a coach, it's about building trust. Now it's about, getting the guys prepared. It's about making sure when they go home, making sure they put the necessary time in mentally and physically to get the results that you all need. So sometimes when you show up, there's a little bit more butterflies because you're not running out there on that field. It's guys taking the coaching that you gave them and trusting you and going out there and getting it done. But you both still want that same result.
Coach, one thing I've been trying to ask all the different coaches, looking back on your playing career, what was your favorite moment? What stands out? Like Coach Beal, we learned about, you played at Montana State, and we kind of learned about the rivalries. I know you went down to Miami. I know UCF was the school you looked at coming out of high school. Just kind of looking back on your playing career, what stands out about college and then NFL?
About college, I would say just playing rivalry games, going to Miami, being a hometown kid, playing against Florida State every year was a really big deal. I think we had some really good games, some big moments, making big plays.
Was there a big game that you had in that series, or was there a game that you remember?
I think the most memorable game, each one of them was very, very memorable. I think the most memorable game was 2009. I was a sophomore. We played Florida State in a Labor Day Classic Monday night on the game on TV. We ended up winning the game game by 4 points on a last second play in the end zone. We had a goal line stand on defense. I remember having a pass break up on a fade ball, like 3 seconds left in the game, and us going off and winning the game and having a really, really good stat line. I think I may have had like 8 tackles, like 5 or 6 pass breakups. Ended up having a really, really good game, but winning a rivalry game on Labor Day.
You played a big role on the final play, basically.
Playing a big role on down the tail stretch. That was pretty cool.
What about NFL?
NFL, I would say being second year in the league, winning the division for the second time. I got drafted to the Houston Texans, and fairly new organization. So my rookie year, we made the playoffs for the first time in franchise history. Huge deal. Won a division that year, first time in franchise history. Huge deal. So being able to say I played in and broke up a pass in the very first game, very first playoff game in the history of a franchise is something that's pretty cool.
I wanted to ask about Philip Dunham. Impressive spring camp, during the practice, a few interceptions, a few pass breakups. How have you seen him growing as a leader in the secondary?
I think Phil is just Phil. That's the best way to describe him. I think Phil is a unique guy. I think he's to himself. I think he's very accountable to his teammates. I don't think he necessarily wants that role. I don't necessarily. I'll be lying to you if I say he wants to go out there and be the team captain. You know what I mean? But he is a team first guy. He's going to do anything that us coaches or anything his teammates ask him to do. He just wants to play ball.
You expect him to be a major contributor on the field?
Yes, sir. So we expect him to apply himself. He has the talent to be a major contributor.
Is there a certain mentality you want your guys to have?
Oh, absolutely. We tell guys, man, we want 3 things. We want guys to be confident, accountable, and coachable. I think if they carry those 3 things, man, with a badge of honor, it would be a pretty good group.
See from Antoine Jackson. I know he was a guy who played a lot last year. I think he was out for most of spring, maybe last week or so he came back. But he's a guy I know you're going to count on to contribute. What do you see from Antoine, and what do you hope to see?
We did not have him at all this spring,
Okay.
so we're excited to have him doing fall camp. He has been hungry. We've watched him battle back, and we've watched him put himself in position physically and mentally to have a really good camp. So I think we're all, even his teammates, everybody's excited for him to feel like himself again. You know what I mean? Feel healthy, hit the field, and really be able to contribute. So Antoine's a guy I've watched from afar for years, and I've always wondered what it would be like to have opportunity to coach him. So I'm excited to work with him.
Was that guy maybe recruited, or because he's from down south?
Yeah, he's from down south. So he was a guy I watched as a true freshman that in the ranks. The guy tried to recruit early in his career, and also his recruitment took off very, very quickly. So I've always kind of kept up with his career and always been a fan. Had a chance to meet him several times during that process, and he was always straight up and down with me, man. Yes sir, no sir. Always was excited, and he was one of the first guys that called me when I took this position, and how excited he was to get to learn from me and to kind of play in this unit.
Yeah. Who stepped up for me from a leadership standpoint? I know that'll still kind of materialize as you get through camp, but just looking through the spring and summer, who in your room is kind of stepping up in that role?
I was telling them, man. I think naturally everybody looked to Braden for that role because he is probably the guy that's been around the longest, the guy that's played for UCF the longest, and we have a bunch of other guys that have been productive and that have played but hasn't done it here. So I think Braden has earned that respect in his uniform and in his locker room where guys look to him because he do things right, he play hard and stuff like that. I think having him back on the field this fall camp will only up his leadership role as well because sometimes it's a little bit harder to do it when you're not physically out there. So we're looking forward to that.
Talk about the mental aspect of being a DB, because I don't care how good you are, at some point you're going to give up a play. So how do you tell your players to sort of recover from moments like that?
And I think we kind of use the bunker mentality to realize that, you know, I mean, we always have each other to lean on because we're the only ones that understand what we go through. So the guys really understand that the outside noise have to be ignored, good or bad, because obviously when you give up a play, you have to deal with it from so many different angles. You have to deal with it from the crowd. You have to deal with it even from your teammates at times. You know what I mean? But we all have that bunker mentality towards each other. We're extremely confident. So we know that sometimes that's going to happen, and our confidence don't waver by the result of a play. And they understand that that's part of being a DB as well. And that's something we preach and talk about all the time. But one thing we do as coaches, we find ways to put them in that position, and we try to research sports, and we find different athletes that have to come back from adversity and have to come back from bad plays or bad matches, and they have to come back and respond. So we're constantly showing them that you're not the only one's going to deal with this, man. Like, either you're going to have to respond or you won't last playing this game in this position.
What does Isaiah Reed bring to the room? So I know he was a guy who was not here in spring,
Yep.
but he's an
Yep.
experienced guy.
Yep.
He was doing important stuff at this week. He was
Absolutely.
graduating from the
Absolutely.
Ivy League. So what does he provide as an experienced guy in that corner?
Coaching Isaiah is like a breath of fresh air. He is extremely smart. He is humble. He is hungry. Has a lot to prove. He wants to show that he can play on this level. Isaiah, he's from Tampa, so he's excited to be back in his home state. And I think one thing he brings is just production and maturity. I think when guys look at him, they can kind of see the time he puts in. They can kind of see his attention to detail. The guy just graduated from Brown, so he's intelligent. His intelligence is just on another level. But he's also the nicest and one of the most hardest working guys I've ever been around. So I'm excited to see him get this opportunity too.